Hey everyone, how's it going? This is James from Tin Robot Games. I hope you're having a great week and are heading into a fantastic weekend. I myself am down a little bit with either a cold or a flu or COVID, something in there. But man, did something exciting ever happen today, which definitely lifted my spirits. So if you're kind of following me through the For You page, we are a board game designer and publisher under Tin Robot Games, and today we're actually going to talk about something pretty exciting, which is we're going to do a live opening of our new game, Garden Geckos. Now, this game hasn't even gone to market yet. We are preparing to do a Kickstarter. So this is the first sample that I've seen, production sample from the plant. What I always do is what I call reviewer copies. Oh, Pat doesn't care. Oh, sorry to hear about that, Pat. We do what's called reviewer copies. And reviewer copies are packages that we create to send out to our reviewers, let them do preview videos and so forth. And then from there, we take those videos and we add them to our Kickstarter page, and it helps with the promotion of our game. So when I create these 100 copies, it's not necessarily going to be what the final game looks like, but it is pretty darn close enough that the previewers can give their opinion as to whether they like the game or not. And I say previewers, but really it's reviewers, because we don't pay for any of these. We just ship out the games to any reviewer that wants to look at the game, and they give us their unbiased opinion, and you get what you get. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. So shockingly, I wasn't expecting this until almost the end of next week. This is the first time in 6 years that I've been doing this, that I've actually received a package from China early, and like super early. So I was crazy excited to see this. I didn't expect it at all. So I'm going to open this up, and we're going to look at this together, and then we'll talk a little bit about this resource bowl in a second, as well as a plushie in a couple moments. So first and foremost, very happy with how these turned out. I got one case of them, so I got 16 copies. The rest, after Chinese New Year, when everyone returns back to the plant in China, the rest of the games will then be sent out to the remainder of the reviewers. So I'm going to try to pick a handful of reviewers that we can get to look at this in the next 2 weeks, so we have some content that we can start seeding out. All right, first and foremost, What's Games is the manufacturer that we went with on this one. Oh, darn it, there's some damage there. That's what you get when you ship games, unfortunately, is they'll just put it in a master case and they'll ship it, and then if your courier guy doesn't care, which most of them don't, they just drop the case on its corner and you get dents and dings and things like that. So good thing I'm opening up this one. This is not one I'll send to a reviewer. First and foremost, graphics turned out really well. We got the story on the back explaining the game. The box itself is a linen finish, so it's got a really good kind of clean feel to it. So if you get anything spilt on it, it'll easily wipe off. It also helps kind of mute the graphics a bit so you're not getting that glare off the box as you're walking by. I am planning in the final production to have spot UV varnish on the Garden Gecko title plate, probably on this little moth, and might even spot UV on the actual gecko himself. This game plays 2 to 6 players, and it is designed for, I guess you could play 8 and up. We put 14 up on the box just until we do our testing. Legally, you got to go 14 plus. Otherwise, you can get in some trouble. So 14 plus, and then once we get all like the testing done, then we'll put maybe a lower range on it. But it is kind of like a medium light game. Might be a little bit much for someone that is... I totally forgot I did this. For someone that's playing for the first time. All right, so this turned out amazing. Inside of the box. So it's the gecko like he's looking down at you from in the clouds. So these guys did an amazing job on the printing on the inside. That's probably the best inside printing I've had on any game we've done yet. That is absolutely fantastic. Look at that. Oh my god. Oh, I love it. Next we got the rule book, which probably should have been linen finish as well. Everything else is linen finish, so I might change this to linen finish. It's gloss right now, but it turned out quite well. There's no obvious issues with the artwork. Shout out to Andrew Gilpin as well from Gilpin Games, as well as Sarah Pippi, who both tag team helping edit the book, going through and just really scrubbing the rules and making sure A, what I wrote made sense, and B, that there's some logic flow and grammar and things like that. Two amazing individuals. I couldn't ask for better people to help me with my game. So kudos to those guys for helping. Rulebook turned out well. The box is pretty much filled right to the rim with the stuff. So these are punch outs that you'll have to actually knock out yourself. Now these were supposed to be linen finish as well. I can't really tell if those are linen finish. If it is, the cross hatch is pretty low, but these are the punch outs with the backs. So can we punch one out nice and clean? And there you are. There's a tile. The artwork turned out really great. I can't wait to do some photography with this. Like, really the next step is to build the Kickstarter page, which you can create kind of like fill in with what you got to get the approval, to get the that notification button, which you can't get until the page is approved by Kickstarter themselves. But when you have the actual game, that's even better because you can do photos and put proper things on there that you're not going to have to replace at a later date. So those are all the punch outs. Oh, good. This is the one I was worried about that them not getting right. So this punch out here in the center, this is starting tile. And you'll notice there's actually a hole in it. And I was worried that they wouldn't actually get that. The hole's not quite centered. That's okay. I was worried they wouldn't quite get that. And that I would have to end up cutting that out myself because there was some communication going back and forth on how we would do that die line. See, Megan's just joined. Feel free, anybody has any questions, throw it in the comments, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions you have. So when you open up the box inside, it does look a little bit empty on the inside, but once we punch out all those tiles and put them in there, this is going to fill up this space. We are looking at potentially doing some inserts, but we're also looking at these resource bowls. So I'm going to talk about the resource bowl in a second, which again is this. I don't know if we're going to do that because the one they sent is huge and doesn't fit. It would fit literally all the meeples where we want to do one of each. All right. So let's go through the cards first. And then we'll get into the meeples. I am blown away at the quality. I got to give a shout out to my buddy Drew at What's Games. He and I connected at, knew each other virtually, but connected formally at Essen this year. And then he started working for What's Games. And he's like, hey, can we quote on it? And I'm like, yeah, sure, man. Like, it doesn't hurt to have you quote. And they end up winning the quote. And their quality is really good. Like, wow. Like, it's wow quality. Amazing. All right, so the cards, these are all linen finish. So we have the bug objective cards. So each bug objective card says these are the bugs that your geckos are going to have to connect. And there's the back of the card. It's the bug objective cards, which look really cool. We have our terrain objective cards, which if you can get your geckos to cover off certain terrain, you can win those objectives. And at the bottom is the bugs. And you'll see at the bottom of these are the bug points. So each bug you can actually get either on a card or physically trapping, and I'll talk about that in a second, are worth 1 point each. And so it's easy. You can stack the cards kind of like this, and then just count your bugs up at the bottom at the end of the game and see what your score is. Then we've got the secret objective cards, which are these ones here. And each player gets one. And what they are is you're either getting a bug objective or a terrain objective. So these are bugs and these are terrains. So if you have a terrain objective card, which is this one here, for the largest territory you've built of that terrain during the game, you get a bonus point for each segment of that. If you have a bug as a secret objective, then you get 2 bonus points for every bug that is in that at the end of the game that you've scored, both in your objectives as well as trapped. So it plays really, really fast. The game goes about, I say 20-30 minutes for a few players, 30-40 minutes tops for like 4 to 6 players. It plays large player count. We are going to work on a solo edition, so before we finalize our Kickstarter, we will have a solo edition of this game. But for now, where we're at is we're not ready on the solo, so we're at a 2 to 6 player game. All right, let's get into the meeples. Holy F. These look... Sorry to use harsh letters, but I am blown away by these meeples. All right, let's look at the... Oh my god. Okay. So first of all, we have the geckos. And these are wood. So all the meeples in this game, we didn't do punch-outs for the player tokens. We actually did wood for everything. And then as I was going through, because I was able to negotiate some good rates with Wutz, and they're really kind, being a first-time manufacturer with us, that they really went on a limb and came to the table for us. So even the meeples are going to be printed on both sides, which is crazy. So this gives you an idea of one of the geckos. So it's a red gecko. And what we did is, say you are the pink gecko, which is this one right here. So sometimes these colors, in fact, on computer screen, they were closer in color than this. So these actually aren't that super close. But if there's any confusion as to whose meeple is whose, what we did is we made them colorblind friendly. So on the back, this one has stripes, and this one has little squares, little diamonds. And then you can tell them apart. Likewise, if you're playing with the green and blue geckos, which are these two here. Again, people are colorblind, but people love, and we did this on Hamsters versus Hippos. We did a poll to find out what color people want for meeples, and it was almost divided 50-50, where people either want blue or green, or both in their game, because people have their favorite colors. So say you're colorblind, and you can't tell the difference between these two colors. On the back, they have different patterns. One has polka dots, and the other one has little squares. So you can tell whose meeple is who on the table if you're colorblind. So that was one little touch we did that we thought was cool. So again, printing on both sides of these meeples. And we have green, we have black, we have white, blue, and of course the red. So those turned out, again, way better than I thought they were going to turn out. It is so cool when you get a prototype that comes in exactly how you wanted it. Like, this is crazy, because I've yet to do a game where we get the production prototype, we're rushed, and there's always something that's gone wrong. I'm sure I'm going to find something once I go through these in more detail. But there's nothing glaring. Like, this looks like retail ready, quite frankly. This could be on a shelf right now. And we're only going to make it better. Okay, let's get into the bug meeples. So the bugs originally were thinking about doing tokens. And then we're going to do a one-color print, like a white on red, for instance, for the ladybugs. And I went through the costing, and we made the costing work to actually print on both sides. So this is a wood meeple. This isn't a punch-out. This is a wood meeple. Printed ladybug on one side, and you flip over and printed ladybug on the other side. Double printed. There's flies, these little fruit flies in the game. Double printed on both sides. And I know my camera gets blurry when I put my hand up in it, but you get the idea. Grasshoppers. Double printed on both sides. And what the goal was here is, where's that punch out that I did? Yeah, let me just hold this up. So here's a good example. Here's the player board. So our actual tokens is the same artwork. It's the exact artwork that we have in the circles. So when you're trapping bugs in this game, which is one of the objectives, is you try to get your geckos. You're placing tiles around a tile. If you can trap that tile where it's fully surrounded on all sides, whoever has the most geckos touching into it will be awarded the bug in the center. You get that in addition to the objectives that you're trying to achieve in terms of creating these different bug chains in the game, as well as terrain objectives of trying to create terrain territories. I'm slurring my words because I'm just so excited. So that's the grasshopper. Let's get so we had fly, grasshopper, ladybug. Oh, I thought we were a shy one. Oh, there we are. Cricket. Although everyone says this is a cockroach, but it's a cricket because geckos eat crickets. And again, it is printed on both sides. The moth, which I absolutely love. Printed on both sides. And then we get the mealworms. Again, wooden tokens. 4-color print on both sides. Now, they did UV printing for these. And they're saying for the final that we should have... Or sorry, these aren't UV printed. These ones are... It's like that sticker effect where they... it's like a laminate or like a litho kind of application to get the artwork on. When we go to the final game, we'll do them as a UV print, which is more expensive, but they will last a lot longer. So as they're banging around... Oh, thanks a lot. As they're banging around in the bowl and so forth with the resources, you're not chipping the artwork off the actual components. Like, they'll actually hold up, right, for the long term. So you can play this game for years and years and years. I am blown away. So that is, and in the back of the box, we have the story of Garden Geckos, UPC code, and so forth. So that's Garden Geckos box opening. I'll talk about a couple other things. So again, quick summary. Holy crap. I am shocked at how good the quality is that Wutz Games. So again, shout out to Wutz. And Drew, if you see this, so glad that I got you guys a quote on this, because, I mean, you did amazing. This looks amazing. Going to get some pictures done. We're going to start working on the Kickstarter page. Hopefully get that preview link up, if I can, in the next, hopefully maybe by Tuesday. It takes a couple days for them to approve it, but for sure I'll get it built this weekend. Again, stand-in video and so forth until we can fill some of that in or swap it out, but get us our link. Now let's talk about the resource bowls. We had this idea of continuing on with kind of the environmental thing where components are made of wood, tiles are paper, cards are paper, the box insert made of paper. And then the idea was we were going to have these kind of resource bowls to put the meeples in, right? So you have your little bowl full of bug tokens set up along the table. And they said, well, they couldn't send me all the bowls, but they could send me one sample. And I said, I really need to see a sample. And this is why, because that is a huge bowl. This bowl is like probably 8 times the size it needs to be. And I was looking for little tiny wooden bowls, little wooden dishes to put the tokens in. So I'm glad I got them to send me a bowl. And we'll have to talk about whether we do that or we find another option. There is an option to create inserts out of this. It's like a like a sugarcane pulp. And they compress that. You see like egg cartons and things like that made of this kind of material now. But it's biodegradable. I might do something like that. Or we just let people use their own resource bowls. And we provide 3D print files for anybody who wants to print an insert, so that we're being as environmentally responsible as we can on this particular game. So still planning out these we got to get right for me to be happy with it. So more discussions to be had there, but I think I'll add that as an add-on regardless, so that it doesn't impede kind of the progress of getting this game to market. The last thing I want to talk about was the plushies. So this is the first campaign where we're doing plushies, and here's a picture of the guy here. Have had zero experience doing plushies, but from some of the campaigns I've seen out there, certainly Doomlings and these guys are adding plushies onto the game. There's a demand for plushies now in the board game space. When I talked to Longpack, we had the president of Longpack on our podcast about almost a year ago now. And he was talking to me at the time about investing in equipment in his manufacturing facility to do plushies because they saw an increased demand and people looking for plushies. So definitely the demand's there. There is kind of that novelty and that kind of limited collectability to them because you're only going to produce so many. I imagine we might only produce 200-300 depending on how many people want out of our campaign. But we're not going to keep making plushies after the campaign. Once the campaign's done, we ship what we've made and that's it, right? So this is I found a plushie company. Oh, is this my audio? That's funny. Hang on. All right. I said somebody tell me our audio cut out, which sometimes happens when I do overlays with pictures. So we'll see if my audio comes back. But essentially what I was just saying was that the plushies, there's companies you can get that will take your artwork. So what we did is we took our artwork from there and had them create a plushie based on that gecko. And I think it turned out pretty good. That rough draft looks awesome. And we'll see kind of where it evolves from there. There's some tweaks I want to make, but that's what they've sent me. Of course, they're away for Chinese New Year right now, so I can't make any more tweaks until after Chinese New Year. But as soon as Chinese New Year is done, we're going to keep tweaking. We'll get that actual final plushie in our hands so we can do some great photography with that, and we'll put that on our page as well. So that's the update, folks, on Garden Geckos. That's the box opening. Thank you for being part of that. That was so exciting for me. And I want to wish you all the best. And please follow us, again, tinrobotgames.com. And when the campaign goes live, we'll send it the link, and hopefully you can follow the campaign. For now, take care. Cheers. This has been an episode of the Board Game Binge podcast, hosted by James Staley, produced by James Staley and Mike Bruner, with original music by Nick Smith. If you would like to watch these interviews live, simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, Board Game Binge, and you'll get access to live interviews, giveaways, and interesting board game content from across the industry. I can't wait for you to join us. See you next time.